Good evening and welcome back to our daily world news channel, your trusted source for in-depth, factual reporting on the events shaping our globe. Tonight, we bring you major developments spanning national politics, international diplomacy, and urgent public safety crises. We begin in Texas, where a political earthquake has reshaped the state's Republican leadership. In a high-stakes runoff election, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has secured a resounding victory over the long-standing four-term incumbent Republican Senator John Cornyn. This race was widely watched as a critical test of former President Donald Trump's influence over his party's base. By defeating Senator Cornyn, Paxton has confirmed that Trump's endorsement remains one of the most potent forces in modern Republican politics. For Senator Cornyn, this defeat marks him as the latest casualty of what political observers are calling Trump's revenge tour. Throughout his campaign, Trump has targeted Republican politicians whom he perceives as disloyal, and Senator Cornyn's past actions placed him squarely in the crosshairs. With Paxton's victory, the question now shifts to what comes next. Having won the Republican primary runoff, Paxton will advance to face the Democratic nominee in the general election, bringing his conservative platform to the broader electorate. But the ripple effects of this primary stretch far beyond Texas. Cornyn's defeat raises serious questions about how Senate Republicans will navigate their relationship with Donald Trump moving forward. As the former president continues to demand loyalty from party members, the ousting of a four-term senator serves as a stark warning to other establishment figures. Whether the relationship between Trump and Senate Republicans can be repaired remains to be seen, but the Texas runoff has made one thing clear: Trump's hold on the Republican voting base is incredibly strong. The political shakeup in Texas did not end with the Senate race, as high-stakes contests across the Houston area also delivered dramatic results. Voters in the region headed to the polls on Tuesday under challenging conditions, as heavy rain initially moved out of Houston, but moderate rain persisted. Despite the weather, voter turnout remained steady as several critical races were settled ahead of November's general election. In the Republican primary runoff for U.S. Representative in Texas's 9th Congressional District, Alex Mueller emerged victorious, defeating Briscoe Cain in a highly competitive matchup. Meanwhile, a dramatic clash unfolded in the Democratic primary for the 18th Congressional District. In this race, longtime incumbent U.S. Representative Al Green suffered a landslide defeat at the hands of fellow U.S. Representative Christian Menefee. This direct confrontation was the result of Texas Republicans' recently redrawn congressional map, which placed these two political figures in the same district and forced them into a head-to-head battle. The campaign leading up to Tuesday was intense, highlighted by the only televised debate between the two candidates. During that debate, Al Green came out swinging, fiercely defending his record. However, the newly drawn boundaries ultimately favored Christian Menefee. Green's landslide defeat marks the first major casualty of the state's redrawn House map, showcasing how structural redistricting decisions can abruptly end even the most established political careers and reshape regional representation overnight. While redistricting successfully altered the political landscape in Texas, a completely different outcome unfolded in South Carolina, where state lawmakers chose to push back against top-down pressure. In a notable legislative decision, the Republican-led South Carolina Senate voted on Tuesday to reject Donald Trump's call to redraw the state's congressional map ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Former President Trump had heavily pressured the state's Republican leadership to advance a new redistricting plan, hoping that a newly drawn map would help the party flip a key House seat in the midterms. However, the South Carolina Senate chose to defy these demands. A key factor in this decision was the unique political position of the state senators themselves. Because South Carolina's state senators do not face re-election this year, they were insulated from the immediate political pressure that often accompanies defying the former president. On Tuesday, the Senate voted decisively against a measure that would have advanced the new congressional map, effectively ending any hopes of redistricting before the midterms. This vote represents a rare moment of resistance within a Republican-led legislature, demonstrating that when lawmakers are insulated from immediate electoral threats, they are far more willing to prioritize their own legislative processes and established boundaries over external political demands. Transitioning to the global stage, we are closely monitoring a major escalation in international tensions between the United States and Iran. On Tuesday, Iran's foreign ministry officially accused the United States of a grave violation of a fragile ceasefire following a series of military attacks launched by American forces overnight. The accusation has injected a fresh wave of volatility into an already tense diplomatic environment, threatening to unravel what little stability had been achieved. In response to these developments, former President Trump has reiterated his characteristically hardline stance on foreign policy. Trump has declared that when it comes to dealing with Tehran, he is seeking a good deal or no deal, indicating that the United States will not settle for agreements that do not meet its strict criteria. Despite the overnight military actions and the increasingly sharp rhetoric coming from both capitals, some American lawmakers believe that a diplomatic path is still viable. Senator Marco Rubio commented on the developing crisis, stating that a deal is still possible despite the recent strikes. However, the road to negotiation has become significantly more complicated, as the overnight attacks and Iran's subsequent accusations of a ceasefire violation have heightened distrust and left international observers concerned about further military escalation in the region. Turning back to the United States, we are following two major public safety crises involving hazardous chemicals on the West Coast, where first responders are working under dangerous conditions. In Longview, a catastrophic industrial accident has devastated a local site and triggered a complex recovery operation. According to reports from Oregon Public Broadcasting, a massive chemical vat implosion occurred at a Southwest facility, leaving at least one person dead and 8 others requiring urgent medical treatment for their injuries. The recovery efforts at the site are being severely hampered by the presence of highly corrosive chemicals that were released during the tank rupture. These hazardous substances pose a severe threat to the physical safety of emergency workers, forcing them to proceed with extreme caution and specialized protective gear. Adding to the gravity of the situation, 9 people remain completely unaccounted for following the blast. The active chemical hazards have slowed search and rescue teams down, making the task of locating the missing individuals incredibly difficult and dangerous. Meanwhile, further south in California, another major chemical emergency has forced thousands of residents from their homes. About 16,000 people in Southern California were placed under strict mandatory evacuation orders after a damaged tank containing hazardous chemicals began to dangerously overheat. The threat of a potential explosion or toxic gas release created a high-risk situation for the surrounding residential areas. Firefighters and emergency personnel worked throughout the night to monitor and contain the overheating tank. On Monday, emergency officials brought some relief to the area, lifting the evacuation orders for some of the affected residents. Firefighters reported that the tank had successfully cooled overnight, significantly reducing the immediate risk of a catastrophic failure. While many residents are now allowed to return to their homes, emergency teams remain on site to ensure the tank remains stable and to prevent any further threat to public safety. This double occurrence of industrial chemical emergencies highlights the significant challenges that first responders face when managing hazardous materials. Finally, we turn to international security developments in India, where a violent incident in the capital city has captured attention. In Delhi, a shooting incident in the Khazoori Khas neighborhood has sparked panic and local sensation. According to initial reports, rapid and heavy firing broke out in the area, terrifying local residents and prompting a swift response from law enforcement. The sudden burst of gunfire has left the community on high alert as police officers work to secure the neighborhood, conduct investigations, and restore order. The incident has made headlines across Delhi, and authorities are currently looking into the circumstances surrounding the shooting to identify those responsible and determine the underlying motive for this public display of violence. As we bring tonight's broadcast to a close, these stories remind us of the shifting political alliances and emergencies that shape our daily lives. From the high-stakes runoffs in Texas to the delicate diplomatic balance between the U.S. and Iran, and first responders tackling hazardous chemical crises on the West Coast, we will continue to monitor these developments closely. We want to thank you for joining us for tonight's update. If you found this broadcast informative, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue to deliver neutral, reliable, and high-quality news coverage every single day. Make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Good night.